Welcome back. As promised, Prakash Diwan, our market expert, joins us on the show. Good morning, Prakash. Hope you had a good weekend. Well, one stock which was in focus in Friday's trading session was PNB Housing Finance. Stock ended down close to around 18%. Part of the street believes the downward tick was very, very exaggerated, and maybe it provides an entry opportunity. Would you concur, or would you say there's still too much uncertainty? Your take?
Good morning, Nigel. So I think, it does create a lot of uncertainty, especially given the continuity of what the management's strategy has been for growth. But eventually, organizations are always bigger than individuals, and they find solutions. It's one of the well-run businesses within the HFC space. But to be fair, there's so much available as alternatives that to say that if this is not working out, it's probably end of the road for PNB Housing Finance. It's a bit drastic. So I would believe they'll find a solution. It does offer an entry point if you like the business overall. Don't take this event out of the consideration. But remember, there have been some issues in terms of the PE exits. The kind of rethink that has come in ever since Carlyle got into the space. So there are other issues which probably overweigh rather than just the exit of the management. But HFC as a whole is offering enough opportunity. There's so much available in terms of newer business models, slightly newer names, not yet fully matured business models. But I think the valuation also give you that comfort.
Hi Prakash, good morning. Since we're talking financials, Federal Bank stock is often loved by a lot of people, but again, like a lot of the other BFSI names, once again, even here we have some asset quality issues, a little spike in credit costs, etc. How would you look at it?
Good morning, Surbi. So I think this is par for the course. You have an organization that's kind of in the throes of growth expansion on all fronts. I don't see any reason why would kind of one quarter is what you take away the growth potential from. You have certain things which probably are not in place, and we've got used to good parameters from some of these names regularly, and one of these quarters you could be in for some disappointment. But remember, April to June is also a quarter where most of the banks would probably focus more on strengthening their systems, processes, balance sheets, and it's not something which is growth-led. But the real growth, as and when it comes, the system growth as it develops. See, right now we just had about 7.5–8% credit growth for the system. Once this goes into double digits, you'll have a lot of opportunities for smaller banks like Fed to repair wherever the damage is. So I believe it's a good entry point if you really ask me, though there have been downgrades and all of that. But, if you take a slightly contrarian view, you'll probably start seeing value from a longish perspective if the market gives you that opportunity based on these earnings.
Prakash, how would you look at this one? I mean, glass half full, half empty. What's the call? You're on mute, Prakash.
Sorry, Surbi, but I'll have to disappoint you on this one because I have an open position. It wouldn't be fair for me to speak on this.
Okay.
But the glass is half full for sure. That's
okay, half full with the caveat that you have a position there on ITC. Prakash, very quickly, between Hero, Moto and Bajaj, we were discussing this with Sudarshan earlier. I mean, in the morning he was telling us about the numbers. The monthly sales numbers for Hero are definitely looking better than Bajaj, though they might be a little below the street's estimates for the month gone by. But what's your sense? Bajaj has kind of fallen off the radar. It's been a string of disappointing, sales numbers several months now. Your call on both?
So, interestingly, what Hero has done is sometime back, about 6 months back, they started changing their strategy to focus on exports as well. And look at what they've done. I mean, they've done a Bajaj on the export side. Yeah, and that resilience that this builds for them while they continue to have a good footprint in the domestic market, especially in the lower price points, vehicles. It's going to be a very good balance. But if this gets repeated and the strategy kind of deepens, then you'll have a re-rating of Hero, which hasn't happened in years. Bajaj has already got re-rated and is kind of consolidating, but Hero is probably ripe for that. But you'll have to wait to see whether those numbers kind of continue. It's not just one-off because exports also is a very challenging environment at the moment. But I think there's definitely a lot of change afoot, and that kind of bring zero to a priority in terms of allocation if you had to put some money into the two-wheeler space.
Prakash, we had the manager of TRIL, and I was just sort of thinking that sectorally, if you had to identify buckets where there is steady 15-20% revenue visibility, it is of course that space which is transformers, T&D essentially. I was thinking hospitals maybe, and by the way, we have a hospital company coming up on the other side. Narayana is joining us. Maybe AMCs within the capital market space. Anything else comes to your mind, Prakash? Any other pocket? I mean, there'll be individual names here and there, of course, everywhere. But as a sector, anything else?
So I think the other sector that's probably showing some amazing changes in the internals is cement. Of course, it might not qualify for that 25% kind of growth because it's a very mature industry. But I think cement is showing very clear signs of a turnaround, and things would only get better after this quarter. So let's not undermine that. We've not talked about cement in the same vein as banking and defense and all of that, but there could be a re-rating that's underway for sure.
Okay, and what do you like in cement? We have the JSW Cement IPO as well. That's finally going to come into play after many, many months. They have the presser today, so we'll get the pricing. But what do you like from the cement pack?
So, Nigel, I continue to like Dalmia. There is a lot that's happened, and now things have kind of started turning out to be more favorable. Amongst the bigger ones, I think Shree Cement is one of the under-celebrated ones. It's just not been making any kind of news, but the internals are very clearly far more robust, and their balance sheet always kind of comes to the rescue. Though they had some leverage, which is very manageable as compared to the historic trends, but I think from the larger ones, from the top three, if you look at Ultratech and the ACC, Ambuja combined, and then Shree Cement probably has the makings of a fairly strong outperformer within that space. So I would go with that.
Okay, all right, Prakash, we leave it there. Thanks very much for joining us.